Alright everybody, I'm gonna try to do this in one recording. I'm not an expert at video editing and whatnot, so it is what it's gonna be. So I spent 3 days banging my head on the wall and on my desk, trying to figure out how can I make custom loot tiers on Deer Island. I've made custom loot tiers on Trinaris, Livonia, Banov, no problem. But for some reason, Deer Island wasn't taking to it. Now you have the opportunity to learn how it's supposed to work exactly for all the maps. I suppose the way that I've been doing this for Livonia, for example, hasn't actually been exactly how you're supposed to do it. It works anyway on my Livonia server, where I created custom tiers and I have overlapping tiers, and it's no problem. It works. And because it works, and because I never had a problem, I never actually had to struggle through to make sure that everything works exactly the way that it's supposed to. So basically, I went through a lot of different iterations, but this is a very simple and easy way that you can make some loot tiers with a graphical tool that is free, no needing to download Photoshop and buy a license for hundreds of dollars. You can download GIMP. GIMP is a free image manipulation program. So, download it, install it, make a new file. It should be 4096. And it should be grayscale. But here's the thing. I actually recommend that you make an RGB image first. And go ahead and put 32-bit imager precision, non-linear, and just hit OK with these settings here. I recommend RGB because then you're going to be able to create your tiers like this in a color setting. And that's going to be 1,000 times easier than trying to create custom tiers with a grayscale setting. So that's what I've done here. I've gone ahead and made a color image, and then I make all of my tiers in layers. The thing is that you cannot export these layers as they are. They won't work in the tools. But what you can do is create your tiers with the tool like this. So for example, let's say I want to, let's recreate tier 1. So let's make a new layer, tier 1 example. And what I'm going to do here is then take pencil. You can choose the brush. I go for the hard round brush there. And choose a color. So I think it was something like that. Let's just choose, you can choose any color. And then you can go ahead in here and, you know, if we're painting our first zone, you would do something like this, you know, lap it around. Now, if you want to see the transparency for the back of the map as you're painting, you can go to the layer here and set the opacity for the layer that you're on. I set it to 30 so that I can see the background. And you're just painting the zone that you wanted to do. Right? And don't worry about it not being precise with the borders. I'm going to show you in a second how to do that. So I'm just painting in, painting in, painting in, painting in. You're going to want to make sure that you don't leave a single pixel uncovered there. You want it to be contiguous. So now we've got an overlap between our newly painted zone and this zone, and we've also got an overlap with this zone. You know, it's not perfect. It's overlapping here for a bit. So what you can do with GIMP is select the other layer that you have, select the fuzzy select tool, go ahead and select that block of color because I'm on the tier 2 layer right now, and and I'm selecting the tier 2 colored in area. Now, switch to your tier 1 example that has overlaid and is not exact border, and hit delete. And then you're going to do that again with tier 3. Click on your tier 3, that's this big blue color. I'm just going to click anywhere in that tier 3. It's going to select, it's selecting the entire tier 3. And then I'm going to click the layer for tier 1 where it's overlapping and hit delete. Boom. Now I have perfect borders. Okay? So this is in effect how you're going to be using GIMP to create your borders. And that'll be the fun part of this. Now comes the not so fun part. And you have to do this exactly, otherwise it's not going to work. So step 1 is creating your custom tiers on the map. Go ahead and use a color scheme. Import the map background as an overlay so that you have, you know, vision of the map and you can see where you're painting. You're going to need to get that map file from the CE, the Central Economy loot files that are released with whatever map that you're using. So once you've gotten those layers painted, what you're going to want to do is you're going to click one of these layers. Make sure that your select tools are not selecting anything. And you're just going to hit Control-C, copy. So you're going to copy that layer. But now you're going to hold Control, Shift, and V. And what Control, Shift, and V does is that it pastes as a new image. Okay. So paste as a new image. Now you've got that painted section just for that layer. So here's step 2. You're going to go to Image menu and Encoding and change this to an 8-bit integer image format. And you're going to go to Mode, Image, and then Mode, and you're going to hit Grayscale. Now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to load up white and black, and it needs to be absolutely white. So you can use, you click here in your palette, and you can either put FF, that's the hexadecimal for white, and you want to have 000000 for black. Alright? So you've got a foreground and a background, white and black. It has to be exactly white and black. Now what you can do is take the bucket fill tool, and if your foreground is white, then you're just going to hold down Shift so that it switches to fill similar colors right here. Because if you click fill whole section, it's gonna fill the entire thing. Now remember, Control Z is undo. If you do any action that is incorrect, hit Control Z and undo it. So I'm holding down Shift and I'm going to click. Now, you might have thought that that was white, but you could see here that it actually changed color a little bit because it wasn't fully, completely white. So while holding Shift still, I'm also going to hold Alt. Alt, as you can see, it alternates between the foreground and the background color here. So holding Shift and Alt, I can then click anywhere else and it will fill the rest with black. We're not done yet. We have it in grayscale, we have it in 8-bit integer, but we need to do one more thing. We need to remove the alpha channel. On this image are 2 channels, the gray scale and the alpha. We have to make an image without any alpha channel. So right click on the layer and remove alpha channel. Now it is ready to export. So go to File, go to Export. We can name this tier1.tga. Going to export, and it will ask you, right, it will pop up this window here And by default, I believe the compression is checked. You want to make sure you uncheck the compression. And then you hit export. So no compression, uncheck the compression, make the origin top left and hit export. Now, when you check you've got the XML that defines the project, you've got that map background, you've got the territory types folder, you've got the layers folder and the map folder. So the layer that we just created is this one, and you can see it's 16 megabytes, and the rest of these are 257 KB. It is bigger in size because it is uncompressed. So it is the right format, but it is uncompressed. I'm going to open in Economy Editor, and you should be aware of what Economy Editor is. It's under DayZ Tools, Steam. Search for DayZ Tools in your Steam library. You have to make sure that Tools is selected here, as well as Games, and then just type DayZ Tools, and you'll have that there, right? So open up DayZ Tools and then hit Open, and we're going to open this project. And as you can see, no, that broke. So what is broken? Oh, I imported all of the images that were not made correctly. But the tier 1 is the image that we made just now, and you can see that it is importing that image correctly. So if we click away from tier 1, it's gone. Click on tier 1, there it is. And apparently all of the other files that I had here were, let's see here. Oh, right, okay, so these files were broken. I can get rid of those. And yeah, okay. Well, don't worry about it now. I forgot which file that I put in. But in any case, this is our file that we created, and it now imports into our the CE tool. And then when you've got all of your tiers in there like that, you can then go ahead and hit this button right here, which is Save and Export All. Save and Export All is going to then generate. It's going to save a refreshed version of all the territory files if you need to copy those in. But most importantly, it is going to create your .map file. I'm going to go ahead and open the project that I am actually using on the server. And let me close. It does that bug where it doesn't display everything. If you open another project while you've already got it open. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier, where Dear Isle has something in it which is hard coding that you have to do everything exactly correct, is that there's some sort of script checking the loot spawner in Dear Isle that I don't notice in any of the other maps that I'm doing custom zones on. But it did not work for me until I changed the name of all of my tiers to be exactly this. It has to be value FLG underscore tier and then the number. And if it's not that, then it's not working. Another thing that you want to make sure that is functioning correct, and it's a pretty stupid mistake if you don't, because by default they're already set, is you want to make sure that the area value flags for each tier are set there. You also want to make sure that these are all in numerical order. It has to be 1 at the top all the way, and then counting down. You can't have tier 1, tier 5, tier 3, tier 6. It has to be numerical order from top to bottom. And you can always check your project file to make sure that everything is working. So your project file should have these values in numerical order, and then it should have these layers in numerical order, and the value flags should be powers of 2, so 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, so forth. This is all automatic. there was some guy in Discord saying it's super important to have that, and nobody knew what he was talking about. And when I was editing my file, I finally realized, oh, okay, this is what he's talking about. But this is done automatically anyway with the CE tool. Every time you add a layer, it will add the value flag as a power of 2 of the previous layer. But if you're moving layers around and things like that, you just have to make sure that they are in numerical order and that the value flags match the numerical order that those are in. So that's basically one of the catch-alls of mistakes that some people are making. Wanted to make this video as complete as possible. So in any case, once this is done, you save and export all. Go and get your file here in the map folder, and then that file, take that, and then that file will go into your missions folder. So your missions folder looks like this. In your MP mission, you got your root of your server. This is just my project folder on my computer that I then upload to my server. But in your MP missions, you've got the mission folder for whatever map that you're running. I'm running DayZ for this. So I go in there, and then right in here is where you're gonna put the area flags.map file. Now, for every other server that I've done this for, it didn't matter whether the file was named area flags.map, but I've tried this file with a different name, and it doesn't work. Loot just spawns everywhere. It doesn't pay attention to the tiers. I've also tried creating a new project, like you can see this one here, DayZ-How-To, and exporting that. It will export it in the same file name as that is. And then I'll go in here and grab that DayZ-How-To.map file, drag it over here, and then rename it to areaflags.map, and it still doesn't work. So for some reason, DayZ specifically is forcing you to call it area flags and make sure that the name of the layers is value flg underscore tier, then the number. So yeah, like I said, there's a lot of really peculiar things that you just need to pay attention to with this. Otherwise, you're gonna have loot spawning everywhere, and it's not gonna work. Anyway, hope you enjoy, and I hope that saves somebody from 3 days of headache like I just went through. Yeah, I'm gonna go sleep now. Have a good day.